Just 2 days ago, Social Security workers across America walked out of federal buildings. They held signs, they shouted warnings. In Cincinnati, a retired claims specialist named Melissa Chardine told reporters something that should terrify every single person watching this video. She said, quote, "It went from 2 weeks to get an appointment to 2 months." At your Cincinnati City Beat, Social Security workers warned staffing cuts, hurting seniors. 2 months to get a simple appointment. But here is what most people do not know. The Social Security Administration wants to cut field office visits by 50% this year. That means no more than 15 million visits in 2026, down from over 31 million visits last year. Federal News Network, SSA plans to cut field office visits by 50%. This is not a small adjustment. This is a fundamental change to how you access your money. And I need you to understand something right now. This is just one of 7 financial threats heading toward retirees in 2026. 7 threats that most people are completely ignoring. Each one of them can drain your retirement savings. Together, they can destroy your financial future. Stay with me through this entire video because I am going to show you exactly what is coming and exactly what you need to do about it. The strategies I share near the end could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Let us start with the numbers. The average Social Security retirement benefit just increased to $2,071 per month. Social Security Administration 2026 COLA Fact Sheet. That sounds like good news. It is a 2.8% raise, about $56 more in your pocket every month. But here is what nobody is telling you. Medicare Part B premiums just jumped to $202.90 per month. CMS 2026 Medicare Parts A and B premiums and deductibles out. That is an increase of $1,790. This is nearly a 10% jump. It is the first time in history that the Part B premium has crossed the $200 threshold. Do the math. You got $56 more from Social Security. You lost $1,790 to Medicare. That means almost 1/3 of your raise is already gone before you see a single dollar. But wait, there is more. The Medicare Part B deductible increased to $283, up $26 from last year. The Part A hospital deductible jumped to $1,736, up $60. If you end up in a skilled nursing facility, your daily coinsurance for days 21 through 100 is now $250. Do you see what is happening here? The government gives you a small raise with one hand, then it takes most of it back with the other hand. This is a pattern that has repeated for years. But in 2026, it is more aggressive than ever. Now, let me tell you about the second threat. This one is bigger than Medicare premiums, much bigger. The Social Security Trust Fund is running out of money. I know you have heard this before. People have talked about Social Security running out for decades, but this time is different. We now have specific dates and specific numbers. According to the 2025 Trustees Report, Social Security Administration 2025 Trustees Report Summary. The Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be depleted in 2033. That is 7 years from now. Not 30 years, not 50 years, 7 years. When that happens, the law says Social Security cannot borrow money, it cannot raise its own taxes, it can only pay out what comes in from current workers. That means automatic benefit cuts of about 23 to 24%. A Stanford report. Economists share ideas to strengthen Social Security. Let me put that in real numbers. If you are a married couple receiving the average benefit of $280 per month, a 24% cut means you lose $769 every single month. That is $9,228 per year. Gone. Not reduced, gone. Over a 20-year retirement, that adds up to $184,560 in lost income. Over a 30-year retirement, it is $276,140. And here is what really scares me. Most retirees have no backup plan for this. According to AARP research, Gakshri AARP, new survey shows 1 in 5 Americans ages 50 plus have no retirement savings. 1 in 5 Americans over age 50 has 0 retirement savings. Nothing, not a dollar. Among those who do have savings, the median balance is only $66,000. Transamerica Institute, Retirement Outlook of American Middle Class. That sounds like a lot until you realize it needs to last 20 or 30 years. That is about $2,200 to $3,300 per year, not per month, per year. So when Social Security gets cut by 24%, where will these people find $9,000 a year to replace it? They will not. They will be forced to cut their food budget, skip medications, let their homes fall apart, move in with family members, or worse. This is not fear-mongering. This is math. Now let me tell you about the third threat. Inflation. You might think inflation is under control. The Federal Reserve talks about bringing it down to 2%. Politicians say the economy is doing great. But here is the truth for retirees. The things you buy are not the same things the government measures. The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, called CPIW, is what the government uses to calculate your Social Security raise. But you are not an urban wage earner. You are a retiree. Critics say this formula does not account for senior-specific expenses. Geo-banking rates. 3 major Social Security challenges coming in 2026 dollars. Healthcare costs, prescription drugs, housing maintenance. These costs rise faster than regular inflation. There is actually a different measure called CPIE, which stands for Consumer Price Index for the elderly. Studies show that if Social Security used CPIE instead of CPIW, your annual raises would be about 0.2 percentage points higher each year. That does not sound like much, but over 20 years, it adds up to thousands of dollars in lost purchasing power. Here is a simple way to think about it. If inflation is 3%, but your raise is only 2.8%, you actually got a pay cut. Your money buys less than it did before. Every year this happens, you fall further behind. Now I need to tell you about threat number 4, and this one is happening right now, in real time. The Social Security Administration is in crisis. Earlier, I mentioned the staffing cuts and the longer wait times, but the problem goes much deeper than that. According to reports from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, CBPP reassignment won't fix the largest ever Social Security staffing cut. At least 7,000 SSA workers have been pushed out this year. This is the largest staffing cut in the agency's history. The result? There are now 6 million pending cases at processing centers and 12 million delayed transactions at field offices, discounti geo-banking rates. 3 major Social Security challenges coming in 2026. 1. 12 million delayed transactions. If you are trying to claim your benefits for the first time, you could wait months to get paid. If you need to correct an error on your record, good luck. If you have a question about your survivor benefits after losing a spouse, prepare to wait in line. And it is getting worse. The former Social Security Commissioner, Martin O'Malley, warned that these cuts could lead to a system collapse. Newsweek: what happens if Social Security collapses? System collapse. Those are his words, not mine. Now some people say they can just do everything online. Log into My Social Security, use the website, no need to visit an office. But here is the reality. Many seniors cannot navigate complex digital systems. They do not have reliable internet. They get confused by login requirements and security questions. A union leader representing Social Security workers put it perfectly. A lot of people can't get past the ID verification. Federal News Network, SSA field office cuts. These are not stupid people. They are people who grew up in a different era. They deserve face-to-face help. But that help is disappearing. Let me move to threat number 5, the stock market. Now I know what some of you are thinking. The stock market has been doing well. Your 401k looks good. Why worry? Because of something called sequence of returns risk. Let me explain this in simple terms. The order of your investment returns matters as much as the returns themselves. If the market drops 30% in your first year of retirement, your portfolio may never recover. Even if the market goes up in later years, you have already sold investments at low prices to pay your bills. Here is an example. Say you have $500,000 saved. You plan to withdraw $20,000 per year. If the market drops 30% in year 1, you now have $350,000. You withdraw $20,000. Now you have $330,000. Even if the market gains 20% the next year, you only have $396,000. you are still down over $100,000 from where you started. But if those same returns happened in reverse, with the gain first and the drop later, you would be in much better shape. This is not theoretical. According to financial research from Merrill Lynch, 4 big retirement risks. Sequence risk is one of the 4 biggest threats to retirement security, yet most people have never heard of it. Right now, stock market valuations are high by historical standards. Many experts warn that we could see a correction. If that happens while you are withdrawing money for living expenses, your entire retirement plan could fall apart. This brings me to threat number 6, your taxes. Here is some good news. The government just created a new $6,000 senior deduction for people age 65 and older. The HR Digest, 2026 Social Security Changes. This can shield some of your Social Security income from federal taxes. But there are catches. First, this deduction only applies if your modified adjusted gross income is under $75,000 for singles or $112,500 for married couples filing jointly. Above those limits, it phases out completely. Second, this deduction expires in 2028. It is temporary. So if you are planning your retirement based on this tax break, understand that it may not exist in 3 years. Third, and this is important, frozen income thresholds mean more of your Social Security benefits become taxable each year. The thresholds for taxing Social Security benefits have not changed since 1984. Back then, these thresholds were meant to affect only the wealthiest retirees. Today, even middle-class retirees get hit. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be subject to federal income tax. If you have pension income, IRA withdrawals, or investment income on top of Social Security, you could owe the IRS thousands of dollars. And state taxes add another layer. While 41 states do not tax Social Security benefits, AARP, 9 ways your retirement planning will change in 2026, 9 states still do. Depending on where you live, your tax burden could vary by thousands of dollars per year. Now let me talk about the 7th and final threat, longevity. Living longer sounds like a blessing, but financially it can be a curse. According to research from the TIAA Institute on National Council on Aging addressing the nation's retirement crisis, 35% of people underestimate their own life expectancy. They plan for 20 years of retirement when they might live 30 or 35 years. Here is what that means in practice. If you withdraw 4% of your savings each year, a common rule of thumb, your money might last 25 years. But if you live 35 years, you run out of money with a decade still to live. And it gets worse. Lower income retirees die about 9 years earlier on average than wealthy retirees. But they also have far less savings to begin with, so they face the double burden of higher health costs in their final years and less money to pay for them. The National Council on Aging reports, NCOA, 80% financially struggling. That 80% of older households, about 47 million people, are financially struggling or at risk of economic shocks. Nearly half cannot cover basic needs according to the Elder Index, a measure of what seniors actually need to live independently. So those are the 7 threats. Let me summarize them quickly. 1. Medicare costs are eating your Social Security raise. 2. The Social Security Trust Fund depletes in 2033, triggering automatic benefit cuts. 3. Inflation for seniors is higher than official numbers suggest. 4. The Social Security Administration is in operational crisis with massive backlogs. 5. Stock market volatility creates sequence of returns risk for your portfolio. 6. Tax thresholds are frozen, dragging more retirees into higher brackets. 7. Living longer means you might outlive your money. Now you might be feeling overwhelmed, maybe even scared. That is normal, but I did not make this video to scare you. I made it to prepare you, so let me give you the action steps. These are specific things you can do right now to protect yourself. Action. Step 1. Maximize your Social Security benefits through timing. For every year you delay claiming Social Security past your full retirement age, your benefit increases by about 8%. If your full retirement age is 67 and you wait until 70, you get 24% more forever. On a $2,000 monthly benefit, that is an extra $480 per month. That is $5,160 per year. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $115,200 more in your pocket. Of course, you need other income to live on while you wait. This is where having savings matters. But if you can delay even 1 year, you come out ahead if you live past your early 80s. Most people do. Action step 2. Build a Medicare buffer fund. Set aside money specifically for healthcare costs, not just premiums, deductibles, co-pays, prescription drugs, unexpected hospital stays, fidelity estimates, the EARP, retirement changes 2026, that a 65-year-old couple needs about $315,000 to cover healthcare costs in retirement. That does not include long-term care. If you do not have that much, start saving more now or plan to spend less on other things. Consider a Medicare supplement plan, also called Medigap. These plans cover many costs that original Medicare does not. Yes, they have premiums, but they provide predictability. You know what you will owe each month instead of facing surprise bills. Action step 3, diversify your income sources. Do not rely only on Social Security. If those benefits get cut, you need backup. Consider a part-time job or consulting work. Even small amounts of earned income reduce how much you need to withdraw from savings. Look into annuities. An immediate annuity converts a lump sum into guaranteed monthly payments for life. This creates another income stream that does not depend on the stock market or government programs. Rental income is another option if you have property or can buy property. Dividend-paying stocks provide regular cash flow without selling shares. The point is to have multiple streams of money coming in. If one stream dries up or gets reduced, the others keep flowing. Action. Step 4. Rebalance your portfolio for sequence risk. If you are within 5 years of retirement or already retired, reduce your exposure to volatile investments. The old rule of thumb said, subtract your age from 100 to find your stock allocation. If you are 70, hold 30% stocks, but many advisors now say this is too aggressive for early retirees facing sequence risk. Consider holding 2 to 3 years of living expenses in cash or short-term bonds. This creates a buffer. If the market drops, you live off the buffer instead of selling stocks at low prices. This gives your stocks time to recover. Treasury inflation-protected securities, called TIPS, are another tool. These bonds adjust with inflation. They protect your purchasing power when prices rise. Action step 5, optimize your taxes before retirement. If you have money in a traditional 401k or IRA, consider Roth conversions. This means paying tax now to move money into a Roth account where it grows tax-free and comes out tax-free. Why do this? Because tax rates might go up in the future. Remember, the government needs money to fix Social Security. They might raise rates on everyone, including retirees. Also, Roth withdrawals do not count toward the income thresholds that make Social Security taxable, so you can potentially receive more of your Social Security tax-free if your other income comes from Roth accounts. This strategy works best in years when your income is lower than usual. Maybe you retired but have not started Social Security yet. That is a perfect window for conversions. Action step 6, create a withdrawal strategy. Do not just take money randomly from your accounts. Have a plan. Many advisors recommend the bucket strategy. Bucket 1 holds 2 to 3 years of expenses in cash. This is for current spending. Bucket 2 holds 5 to 7 years of expenses in bonds. This is for the medium term. Bucket 3 holds the rest in stocks. This is for long-term growth. When the market is up, you refill buckets 1 and 2 by selling from bucket 3. When the market is down, you live off buckets 1 and 2 and leave bucket 3 alone to recover. This simple framework reduces sequence risk while allowing your money to grow. Also consider dynamic withdrawal rates. The old 4% rule said you could withdraw 4% of your initial portfolio every year, adjusted for inflation. But this does not account for market conditions. A better approach, reduce withdrawals when the market drops. Take 3% instead of 4% in bad years. Increase to 5% in good years. This flexibility can extend your money's lifespan by years. Action step 7. Plan for the worst-case scenario. What if Social Security cuts happen? What if Medicare costs keep rising? What if you live to 100? Run the numbers. Use online retirement calculators or work with a financial planner. Model what happens if your Social Security gets cut by 24%. Model what happens if inflation runs at 4% instead of 2%. Model what happens if you need nursing home care for 3 years. These scenarios are unpleasant to think about, but planning for them now means you will not be caught off guard later. Consider long-term care insurance if you can qualify and afford it. Many people cannot, but if you can, it protects your other assets from being drained by nursing home costs. Look into hybrid policies that combine life insurance with long-term care benefits. These are often easier to qualify for and provide value even if you never need care. Action step 8. Stay informed and stay flexible. The rules change, laws change, programs change. The new senior deduction I mentioned expires in 2028. Will Congress extend it? Will they create something new? Nobody knows. Social Security reforms are being debated in Congress right now. Some proposals raise taxes, some cut benefits, some change the retirement age. Any of these could pass in the next few years. Medicare is changing too. The Inflation Reduction Act capped out-of-pocket drug costs at $2,100 in 2026. Medicare resources, 2026 changes. That is good news. But premiums could keep rising. Your job is to pay attention. Read the news. Check your Social Security statement. Review your Medicare options during open enrollment every year. Do not just set it and forget it, and be willing to adjust your plan. The strategy that worked at age 65 might not work at age 75. Life changes. Your plan should change too. Let me close with this. The challenges facing retirees in 2026 are real. They are serious, and they are not going away. But you are not powerless. You have options. You have time to act. Maybe not as much time as you would like, but time nonetheless. The retirees who will struggle the most are the ones who stick their heads in the sand, who assume the government will take care of everything, who think these problems will somehow solve themselves. The retirees who will thrive are the ones who face reality, who make a plan, who take action now instead of waiting for a crisis. Let me spend more time on some of these strategies because the details matter. Let us talk about Social Security timing in more depth. The decision of when to claim Social Security is one of the most important financial decisions you will ever make. Yet most people get it wrong. According to research, the vast majority of retirees claim benefits before their full retirement age. The most common age to claim is 62, the earliest possible age. But claiming at 62 means accepting a permanent reduction of about 30% compared to waiting until full retirement age. Think about that, a 30% pay cut for the rest of your life because you could not wait 5 years. Now, I understand why people do this. They need the money. They worry they will not live long enough to benefit from waiting. They want to enjoy retirement while they are still healthy. But the math favors waiting for most people. Here is a simple calculation. If your full retirement age benefit is $2,000 per month, claiming at 62 gives you about $1,400 per month. That is $16,800 per year. If you wait until 67, you get $2,000 per month. That is $24,000 per year. If you wait until 70, you get about $2,180 per month because of delayed retirement credits. That is $29,160 per year. Now let us compare total lifetime benefits. If you claim at 62 and live to 82, you receive benefits for 20 years. Total, $336,000. If you claim at 67 and live to 82, you receive benefits for 15 years. Total, $360,000. If you claim at 70 and live to 82, you receive benefits for 12 years. Total, $357,120. The break-even point between claiming at 62 versus 67 is around age 78. If you live past 78, you come out ahead by waiting. The break-even point between 67 and 70 is around age 82. If you live past 82, you come out ahead by waiting until 70. Given that the average 65-year-old woman will live to about 87 and the average 65-year-old man will live to about 84, waiting makes sense for most people. But there is an even more important consideration: survivor benefits. When one spouse dies, the surviving spouse gets the higher of the two benefits. If you are the higher earner in your couple and you claim early, your spouse gets stuck with that lower benefit for the rest of their life. By delaying your claim, you are essentially buying life insurance for your spouse. The extra income from delayed credits could mean the difference between your widow or widower living comfortably or struggling to pay bills. This is why I tell couples to think carefully about claiming strategy. Often, it makes sense for the higher earner to delay as long as possible, even if the lower earner claims earlier. Now, let me go deeper on healthcare planning. Medicare is confusing. Let me simplify it. Original Medicare has two parts. Part A covers hospitals. Part B covers doctors and outpatient care. Most people do not pay a premium for Part A, but everyone pays for Part B. Original Medicare does not cover everything. It pays 80% of approved charges. You pay 20%. There is no cap on your out-of-pocket costs. If you have a serious illness that requires extensive treatment, you could owe tens of thousands of dollars. This is where supplemental coverage comes in. Medicare supplement plans called Medigap fill the gaps in Original Medicare. They pay your deductibles and coinsurance. The most comprehensive plans, like Plan F and Plan G, cover almost everything. Your out-of-pocket costs become predictable, but Medigap plans have premiums. Depending on where you live and your age, these can range from $100 to $300 per month or more. The alternative is Medicare Advantage, also called Part C. These are private insurance plans that replace Original Medicare. They often have lower premiums, sometimes $0. They usually include drug coverage. Many include extra benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. But Medicare Advantage plans have networks. You might need to use specific doctors and hospitals. If you go out of network, you pay more. And while they have out-of-pocket maximums, those limits can be $7,000 or more. Which is better? It depends on your situation. If you have chronic health conditions and see many specialists, Medigap might save you money despite the higher premiums. If you are relatively healthy and live in an area with good Medicare Advantage plans, those might be a better value. The key is to review your options every year during open enrollment. Plans change. Your health changes. What was right last year might not be right this year. Do not just automatically renew. Check if your doctors are still in network. Check if your medications are still covered. Compare premiums and out-of-pocket costs. Many people leave money on the table by not shopping around. Now let me talk about withdrawal strategies in more detail. The order in which you withdraw from different accounts matters enormously for taxes. Most people have three types of accounts: tax-deferred accounts like traditional 401ks and IRAs. These were funded with pre-tax dollars, so all withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. Tax-free accounts like Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs. These were funded with after-tax dollars, so qualified withdrawals are completely tax-free. Taxable brokerage accounts. These were funded with after-tax dollars, but investment gains are taxed. Long-term gains get favorable rates. The conventional wisdom is to draw from taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred, then Roth. This lets the tax-advantaged accounts grow longer. But this is not always optimal. Consider this scenario. You retire at 62 with most of your money in a traditional IRA. You do not start Social Security until 70. For those 8 years, your income is very low. This is a perfect opportunity for Roth conversions. You can convert IRA money to Roth and pay taxes at your low current rate. Later, when Social Security and required minimum distributions kick in, you will be in a higher bracket. The Roth money will come out tax-free when you need it most. This strategy can save tens of thousands of dollars in lifetime taxes. But you need to plan ahead. You cannot do conversions retroactively. Another consideration is the tax torpedo. This is what happens when additional income pushes more of your Social Security benefits into the taxable range while simultaneously pushing you into a higher bracket. At certain income levels, every extra dollar of IRA withdrawal can cost you $1.85 in taxes because of this effect. You pay tax on the withdrawal, plus you pay tax on Social Security that was not taxable before. Understanding where these cliffs are and managing your income to avoid them is crucial. A good tax advisor can help you map this out. Let me also discuss inflation protection in more depth. Inflation is the silent killer of retirement savings. It does not make headlines. It happens slowly, but over 20 or 30 years, it can cut your purchasing power in half. If inflation averages 3%, something that costs $1,000 today will cost $1,806 in 20 years. Your fixed income does not go as far. Social Security has inflation protection through COLAs. But as we discussed, those adjustments often lag actual price increases, especially for things seniors buy. Pensions usually do not have inflation protection. A $3,000 monthly pension sounds great at age 65. At age 85, that same $3,000 buys much less. This is why you need investments that grow faster than inflation. Stocks have historically outpaced inflation over long periods. Real estate often appreciates with inflation. Commodities can hedge inflation. Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS, directly adjust with the Consumer Price Index. The principal increases with inflation, so you get both interest payments and inflation protection. I-bonds from the Treasury also adjust for inflation. There are limits on how much you can buy, but they are a great safe option. The point is to have some portion of your portfolio in assets that grow or adjust with rising prices. Otherwise, you are guaranteed to fall behind. Finally, let me address the emotional side of retirement planning. The numbers matter, but so does your mindset. Many people enter retirement with anxiety. They worry about running out of money. They worry about being a burden on their children. They worry about losing their identity when they stop working. This anxiety can lead to bad decisions. Some people hoard money and never enjoy their retirement. Others panic during market downturns and sell at the worst time. Still others refuse to ask for help when they need it. The antidote is preparation. When you have a plan, you feel confident. When you understand the risks and have strategies to address them, you sleep better at night. When you know your numbers, you can make informed decisions instead of emotional ones. This video was long because the topic is important. Your retirement security depends on understanding these issues and taking action. If you made it this far, you are already ahead of most people. Most people do not invest this kind of time in learning about their finances, but knowledge without action is worthless. So here is my challenge to you. Pick one action step from this video and do it this week. Just one. Maybe it is checking your Social Security statement online. Maybe it is reviewing your Medicare options. Maybe it is calculating your current savings rate. Maybe it is scheduling a meeting with a financial advisor. One step. This week, no excuses. Then next week, pick another step. And another the week after that. Small actions compound over time, just like compound interest. That is how you build retirement security. You cannot control what the government does. You cannot control the stock market. You cannot control inflation or healthcare costs. But you can control your own behavior, your savings rate, your spending, your investment allocation, your claiming decisions, your tax planning. Focus on what you can control. Prepare for what you cannot. That is the path to a secure retirement. If you found this valuable, subscribe to this channel. I cover financial topics like this regularly. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next video, and leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 7 threats concerns you the most. What questions do you have? What topics do you want me to cover next? Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. Take care of your money, and take action now, because your future self will thank you for it.